Welcome back to the Kelowna Real Estate Podcast. I'm your mortgage broker host, Taylor Atkinson.
And I'm your real estate agent host, Matt Glenn. What's happening, Taylor?
Spring is here, man. Sun's out.
Is it ever? It's gorgeous out today. It's nice.
Yeah. Had closing weekend at Big White, which was actually awesome. So
did you get involved in the slush, what's it called? The slush fest?
The slush cup? Yeah, I was there. We watched it. It was awesome, man. It was like 13 degrees out. Yeah, it was a cool way to end the season.
Did they get a ton of snow like right before the weekend?
They did. Honestly, like some of the better conditions came in the last couple of weeks. So
yeah, of the whole season.
Yeah. It was a kind of a tougher season, but the last few weeks were good. So, I mean, yeah, it's just one of those Kelowna things, right? You finish on the ski hill, you come down to the valley, pools are opening, golf courses are going. It's really like we have two seasons in Kelowna. Like the shoulder seasons are so short. So
yeah, good point. Yeah, and I noticed that a lot of people are golfing over Easter weekend, and a few guys I talked to have already been out like 4 times.
I love Easter with kids at this age. Not only do I love eating a lot of chocolate, but like there's something about watching like a 2 and a 4-year-old just finding Easter eggs, thinking like you see the magic. It's so cool. But the other thing with spring for real estate is, normally the spring market kind of comes, things really start to pick up. From what I've seen, been a little bit slower on the residential side.
For sure. It seemed like it was starting to pick up a bit and then got a little slower. I can't help but think it has something to do with Iran.
Yeah. So like globally where we're at, interest rates have really gone up on the fixed side.
Yeah. Inflation's probably going up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Bank of Canada, they're kind of stuck in this position, right? GDP is like essentially flatline. So our economy sucks, but inflation's going up because of what's going on globally. So they don't really have, a lot of power to move one way or the other in terms of how do you stimulate the economy without getting into inflation again and vice versa. So, it's been ticking along. But the other part of the market, which I've been working in quite a bit right now, is a lot of pre-construction contracts from a couple of years ago starting to close.
Yeah, a bunch of these places are closing now.
Like this month. Yeah. So some large condos, complexes. And what I've seen on my side for financing is a lot of the appraisals are coming in massively low. Like purchase contract inclusive of GST is at like 667 and the appraisal comes back at 500. And like legitimately, those are the numbers that we're seeing. So like 167,000 under, what we need it to appraise for. It's kind of a tough market.
Matt, what does that look like on scale?
Yeah. So you get the report, right? You kind of look through it, you see the comps. Obviously, you have the ability to kind of push back against the appraiser and say, well, what about these comps? What about, this listing? And initially, like it's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction when you see something coming in, like 160 grand under when it was a 667,000 purchase. But like these appraisers, they have a 4-year degree and then they've done their appraiser course. Like they're pulling comps that like it gets pretty hard to dispute. Like they're not
also it's not like it's just one crazy appraiser. Like there's a lot of them doing it.
Yeah. It's comparables that have recently sold, right? And there just aren't a lot of places that have recently sold in the condo market at those price points. So kind of wanted to highlight how to mitigate it. Obviously, some clients, they're buying with over 20% down as a rental property. Some specific lenders do require that full appraisal, and that potentially can kill the deal for them. So there's a couple things to break apart here is financing. If your appraisal comes in low, well, you have to make up that deficit of like a cash injection from somewhere.
So you have to get the 20% or whatever your down payment is of the 500,000, and then the other part is just cash.
Yeah. So for this specific scenario, right, 80% loan to value or 20% down on a conventional mortgage. So that can be a non-owner occupied. So their mortgage amount went down to $400,000 compared to the 80% loan to value on that first portion. So they were about like $134,000 short they had to come up with to close on this. Now, some clients obviously have that ability. Most clients do not. There's a couple workarounds. Is some lenders use what's called like a blanket appraisal, where they essentially put a blanket on the entire complex and say, whatever the purchase contract was 2-3 years ago, we're just going to like tick the box and say it appraises. A lot of lenders are going away from that for obvious reasons. Like there's huge risk because now when they close on that, at a $600,000 mortgage, and it's only worth $500,000, like they're very over leveraged, right? So there's massive risk. So most lenders are going away from that. The other kind of workaround is if it's an insured mortgage, like less than 20% down, a lot of times it doesn't trigger a full appraisal. So they'll do like an AVM where it's just waived entirely, which is even crazier because yeah, they have mortgage insurance, so it protects the lender, but like, with even less down payment, your equity is absolutely negative. So there are still like a few creative ways. I'm not going to say to like get around it, but how people are closing on these properties. But yeah, just something to highlight, like as a like optimistic person, I think now is like a very good time if you're looking at buying a condo or a rental property. There's some fairly low prices out there that you might be able to scoop one up because people are having a hard time closing on it.
You mean at closing, like basically taking the contract off somebody before
closing?
People
are going to be assigning these or forced to because they don't have the ability to close. From a legal point of view, I'm not sure how that kind of plays out with the developer in terms of if you can't close on that property, you have a fairly large deposit that you got to walk away from. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on the condo side. On the single family homes, you can comment to this more, but I'm still seeing some good activity there. Like single family homes, it's still a strong asset class.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. Like condos also are still selling. Like people are still buying condos, but there's just way more for sale than there is buyers. So like you just have to be so competitive.
Yeah.
And yeah, with all the new ones, like there's more new ones coming on. It's funny when we started. So like I was thinking about this the other day. When we started this podcast, we would have developers on. Basically, you'd have to have an inside track to a developer to get a contract to buy a condo.
Yeah.
Right? Like they would sell out before they even hit the market because people would get there. And now the pendulum could not have swung farther the other way.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like people that have purchased these, it's not like they made a mistake. Well, like, financially, like it's a hit. No. But I remember there was 4 of us on individual computers all logged into this portal, like whatever it was, like 9 a.m., boom, 9:01, we all submitted, like trying to like secure these contracts. And, dumb luck, like we just didn't get anything except, and I was furious at the developer. I'm like, come on, like you just.
Which one was that? Was that for Aqua or for?
It was, yeah, it was Aqua. I'm like, these guys just sold like whatever, 150 units without even hitting the market. Like it was a private sale to a bunch of people that were on like a prioritized list. And I was like, man, we missed out. And then, 3 years later, you're like, whew, kind of happy.
It's amazing the change, right? Like, and there's a few factors, like obviously government decisions have made a huge play in this, like both locally, federally, provincially, like the market, global things. Like there's been a lot of factors going on to this. And I guess that's the risk. Like, so when you buy a pre-sale, like for the last 20 years, it's been pretty safe investment, right? You buy it, you wait 2 or 3 years for it to close. By then the markets went up. You can assign it if you want. You make a lot of money that way. But I guess the other way can happen too, and it's going down where you just kind of get left with the bank.
And that's the thing. This isn't a dig at developers or certain projects, like at all, right? Like it's just a very tough time in the market where, I've had some clients that are like, well, I'm going to try and renegotiate with the developer. And it's like, okay, yeah, but for the last, say 10 years, when you made $100,000 in equity, is the developer then coming back to you and say, hey, like the market went up by $100,000, like we need to split the profits a bit? Like it's just kind of that inherent risk that you take. And it's not to say that there's not value in these specific units in terms of like the cost to rebuild and the cost to actually like for materials and labor. It's just the comparable sales right now.
Yeah, the comparable. That's exactly
nothing is selling.
It costs that much to build the house. Like it's not like exactly like if you do like the cost analysis, it makes sense to buy it, but the comparable analysis does not.
Yeah, and that's based on like comps in the region with what where interest rates are and however many units are coming online. It's just they're not there yet, but I'm sure in a couple of years it'll balance back out.
Also, it's kind of another interesting to think about is like there is like 0 new projects coming on for condos.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think townhouses, there are some in the pipeline, but like condos is 0. So what does this look like in 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now? Are we going to be back to having to know the developer and doing background deals to get the contract? Or like, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally think that.
I think so too. I think it's inevitable. I think it's obviously going to happen, and it's probably going to happen in, I'd say, 7 to 10 years.
And that's the thing. Like if you're closing on a property now, don't try and turn around and fire sale it. Like you bought at the high, selling it. Like real estate isn't a commodity to sell on a day trade style mentality.
Yeah, it's a long-term play for sure. It is interesting though that like everyone is pissed with the people that buy the condos and then assign them, right? Like all the speculators and stuff like that. But then now it's not like
that's a good point. Like should be an anti-speculation tax where we get like a 20% refund on the money we're losing now.
Yeah. It's kind of like, man, everyone's shutting on them now. And then it's just like, oh, well, too bad for you.
Yeah.
It's just funny how things change. And we've been sitting here talking about it every week, basically from the peak to the trough from now. So it's funny watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to kind of talk about our guest today, awesome guest, kind of connected with him quite a while ago, Chase Stevenson, old Div 1 hockey player, kind of got forced out of the hockey scene due to concussions. But what I really liked, and, we try and have one or two of these shows a year, is, you're talking about a guy born and raised in Kelowna, full circle, has come back to Kelowna, but has like the entrepreneurial spirit and has really like repurposed his life in terms of trying to help others. He's one of those people in Kelowna that he's really trying to build a community and prioritize things in life correctly. And I think it's a good mental and physical reset once in a while to have these conversations. So yeah, that's why it spoke to me so much.
Yeah, he is obviously successful at everything he does and he's doing the right things. He pivoted, had a couple aha moments and life changes and moved on and adapted. And yeah, now his focus, as you hear in the episode, is just wants to build community. Like his businesses are going to be more community focused than like kind of priority driven. He's doing it right. Sounds like he got some good ideas in the pipeline.
I mean, my big takeaway with these kind of conversations is like, it's always about investing in yourself and your family and prioritizing, your mental and physical health over anything else. And then the rest of the dominoes will fall into place. So yeah, if you want to reach out to Chase, obviously listen to the episode, but touch base with him on Instagram. He's doing some pretty cool things.
100%. Yeah, it was a fun episode. All right, guys, enjoy the show. This show, like every show, is sponsored by Century 21 Assurance Realty. The main branch is in Kelowna, but we're everywhere. We're in Kamloops, Salmon Arm, Kootenays, everywhere in between. Residential realtors, commercial realtors, property managers. If you need a real estate professional, Century 21 Assurance Realty is the brokerage you should call. And also, if you're a professional looking for a brokerage to hang your hat, also brokerage to call. Enjoy the show, you guys.
Okay, Chase, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
So you just got back from Texas. Obviously, we can kind of get into where you are now in a little bit, but just to start, to give our listeners some background, I follow you on social media. I saw you put out a post, it was like 6 weeks, maybe 2 months ago, kind of where you started in terms of like, quote unquote, career and education and the direction you were going, and then why you pivoted and maybe changed some life priorities. So if you can comment on, maybe take us back to that post of where you started and where you came from, and then we can kind of break it down from there.
Yeah, totally. It's been quite a unique journey for myself over the last few years. My background's originally in sports. I grew up playing hockey, went to the US for college. I played Division I hockey there, where I was the captain of one of the biggest programs in the United States. An amazing experience. So grateful for that. And then I signed with the Boston Bruins out of college, which was a great opportunity. It had always been a goal of mine to play in the NHL. Yeah. Really all I'd ever considered, to be totally honest with you. And then I had to retire due to concussions. I'd had over 20 plus concussions, and I was left in a place of feeling like I had lost my identity. My identity as a person had always been about sports and being a high performer. So a big piece of my ego, I think, led me to Wall Street. I had a master's in finance degree. I'd always been an extremely competitive student. I was the graduation speaker at my university. I spoke in front of over 50,000 people there. And I leveraged that experience to get a job on Wall Street. Got a job at Deutsche Bank, which is the third biggest bank in the world, and lived the New York lifestyle. Extremely fast paced. Had this big time job. I wore the suit every day. They opened the door for me every morning. Good morning, Mr. Stevenson type thing. I was living this life that I thought I always wanted. That, a lot of people would look at me and be like, man, that guy's got it all going for him. And I would hear that all the time. But inside, I was really the emptiest I'd ever been. I felt like I had no purpose in life. I had this amazing job when I was making a really good salary for a young guy, but I lacked purpose. And as you kind of alluded to, I ended up stepping away from that with no real plan and no direction. But what I knew I wanted was the opportunity to have a positive impact on people and the world and to make a change in my life. And I ended up moving back to Kelowna and really rebuilding.
So you grew up in Kelowna?
I grew up in West Kelowna. My parents are in West Kelowna. I went to 8 different schools, I think, in Kelowna for hockey, or just like around the area, Penticton, Lake Country. But yeah, home is Kelowna.
Man, that is an awesome intro. Like a lot to unpack there. Most importantly, I know concussions have kind of removed you from the sport, but if Matt and I needed you as a sub on our hockey team, would you? Yeah. Playoffs are coming, man.
I still get asked all the time to come out and play, and I haven't played in a while because I'm such a competitive guy. Like, we'll get into kind of what I'm doing now. But if I go out there, I've got one speed. So I say to people, it's really a lose-lose for me, because I either go out and I dominate and people are like, this guy's that loser that dominates. or I don't try and they're like, brought me out there and you're like, this guy was supposed to be good. Like, So we can talk about it.
Yeah, I love it, man. So what was the catalyst to change? Like, you felt empty, you felt like you had no purpose. Did Kelowna bring you back and then you kind of started more of the entrepreneurial fitness wellness lifestyle, or what happened?
Originally, it was just, I knew that there was a different lifestyle out there than I wanted. I was a young guy, I have a ton of energy, and I was working in an environment where it was pretty much do this every day. I didn't have the opportunity to be creative. And so, not to say that, I'm like an anti 9-to-5er, absolutely not. It was just, I was in a situation where I didn't see myself flourishing. And I also miss Kelowna. Kelowna is such a beautiful place. I lived in the US for 10 years and I was living in New York City surrounded by buildings. And I'm a guy who loves to go run in the mountains. And I ended up moving back here to Kelowna. I'd had an opportunity before I moved back to start a supplement company and a regenerative farm. So I moved back and I total change of pace, but I started this supplement company with a local business partner here, and we had a ton of fun building that out. But that's what brought me back, really, was this beautiful place and the opportunity to be close to my family.
That's awesome, man. I hear like Wolf on Wall Street, switch into like more of a holistic approach in life. You're still a competitive athletic person. So what are you kind of doing now? Because you've exited out of that supplement company?
Yeah, so we started, it was called Little Acre Farms. My original goal, and why it was called Little Acre Farms, is I want to build out remote working spaces that are centered around health and wellness. So I saw these in New York. It's a remote working space where people come on a daily basis. They've got their food grown for them on site. There's a chef that makes their food. They've got gym, sauna, ice bath, coffee shop to work in. They have the opportunity to spend time with animals on the property. Really combining a lot of these places you're seeing pop up in Kelowna, like these remote working spaces and a sauna ice bath place, and then the big fancy gyms with the spas, etc., to combine that in one place. So that was our idea with Little Acre Farms. And then we also had a supplement, and my business partner wanted to really push the supplement forward. I was really focused on the property, so we ended up just saying, let's split ways. So they're continuing on with, it's called the Feel Good. It's in Nature's Fair. It's around the local community. So I built that supplement myself, really built that business up with my business partner, and they kept going. So for anyone out there that wants a great whole food supplement, I built it for myself originally. So
nice.
I actually used that a few months ago, randomly before kind of seeing your post. So it was more of like, correct me on this, but it was like turmeric, beets, like it's just natural ingredients ground down in like capsule form, right?
Yeah. It's like a superfood. So you asked me what I'm doing now. So now I act as a holistic health coach. So I mentor a lot of young people as well as work with elite entrepreneurs and athletes, helping them really coordinate their life in terms of nutrition, health and wellness, overall mindset, workout programs, really like an all-encompassing program to really maximize their life. Like, I'm someone that really believes you don't have to take shortcuts in aspects of your life. I'm someone who tries to be a high achiever in all aspects of my life. So yeah, now I'm doing holistic health coaching as well as competing myself. I do HYROX, it's called. So HYROX is the fastest growing sport of all time. It just got announced. It's going to go into the 2032 Olympics. So I'm hoping that I'm going to have the opportunity to compete in the Olympics.
What is HYROX?
Yeah, so it's a mix of running and strength. So it's not popular in Kelowna, which I think it will be. It's one of those sports that I think will catch on in Kelowna, being kind of like the fad fitness scene that you have here. But it's a European sport. It's a mix of running and strength. So you run a kilometer, and then in between that next kilometer, you do a strength exercise. So like pushing a really heavy sled or doing farmer's carries with heavy weights. It's the same competition every time. It's kind of a spin-off on CrossFit. It's a little more functional than CrossFit. like the average person, let's say, could do it over CrossFit.
Yeah, very cool. Something in there, like I see a lot of, at least in our industry, like in the real estate industry or in sales, people always comment like, oh, old athletes are great at sales, because they're super competitive and they just go after it, and like they don't like failure. So they just go, go, go. I actually kind of see it a different way. Like I think athletes are so good at anything is just because they're specifically like, they prioritize health and wellness and fitness still. And I think this is just me biasly giving my opinion on it. Like, I think if you're focusing on yourself, you're investing in yourself, you're healthy, like you're watching the intake of your food and output of your calories and stuff, I think that sets you up for success in the day. But in your like coaching on wellness and for entrepreneurs and high level performers, like what are the key takeaways? Like, what are you seeing? If we can kind of provide value to the listeners today, like what sets apart the successful people in anything in life?
I'll backtrack a little bit. So I couldn't agree more with you that, being an athlete, you just learn a lot of different skills, but I don't think it's just being an athlete. It's people who look at their life and want to maximize all the aspects, particularly health and wellness. Because what I talk about all the time, and I truly believe to my core, if you don't prioritize your self-development first or your health, then you can't be the best person for those around you. You're not going to be the best real estate agent. You're not going to be the best chase coaching others. You're not going to be the best, whatever it might be, parent, whatever it is. So a lot of what we're talking about, number one, starts with health. And the biggest thing within health currently for me is the food we're putting in our body. How are you fueling your body? There's so misinformation online of how to be healthy. And to me, it really starts with just getting back to grassroots, to taking care of yourself, spending time in nature, eating whole foods. Who are you spending your time with in terms of the relationships in your life? Are those people moving you forward? Are they positive influences? Or are they bringing you down? These are like really simple things that has helped people really look at their life and say, well, how can I improve my life? How can I be a better father or mother? And what does that look like for me? Because often it's the really simple things that we need to get back to. Like I help a lot of people to lose weight, right? And they've worked with all these people before. I'm too busy or I want to lose weight. Well, the first thing I look at is what are your chronic stress levels? What are your cortisol levels? Like we're just so out of whack as humans because we spend so much time on devices and just doing things that we weren't meant to do as humans. So if you can get back to simple things like getting 5 minutes of morning sunlight in the morning, I teach a lot of breath work, how to just calm yourself down. It's these really simple practices that I think your listeners could implement into their lives that have a huge impact, because it's not the pharmaceuticals and it's not going to the doctor more. It's always going to be the self work. And that makes the biggest impact.
It's crazy how much stress has caused diseases, right? So if you have the ability to control that or mitigate that a little bit, then that's a huge win. If someone wants to work with you, kind of what's the program? How do they reach out to you? How do you get started?
Totally. Yeah. The majority of my clients come to me through social media. I would like to say that I'm someone where people come to me after they've tried a lot of other people. And I don't know if that's a great business model by me. But yeah, in terms of actually getting a hold of me, majority of people come to me through my Instagram or just through, I have a website, it's CHASEIT Group. I also invest in early stage startup health and wellness companies. So that's a big piece of my website. But people can find me on Instagram at Chase Stevenson. But most importantly for me, it's about helping design a lifestyle for people that allows them to work towards becoming their best self. For me, for a long time, like I did personal training. Well, what I realized really quickly and where I think a lot of personal trainers are missing is they don't look at somebody's entire life. Like I said, if someone wants to come in and lose weight, well, I can put them on the treadmill, but if their stress levels are extremely high, that's what's a big reason behind it. And their hormones are out of whack. Like women who want to lose weight, it's like, well, a lot of the time their hormones are so out of whack, it doesn't matter what they do. They're fighting an uphill battle. So for me, it's about looking at someone's entire life and then taking a holistic approach to help them change their life. And that's where I get the most reward too, and purpose, like we started the podcast with, is me seeing and helping people have a tangible change in their life.
Do you work with people like in person or is it online? Like, is everybody local to Kelowna?
I mainly work with people online. I love working with people in person. That's just me. I found it tough, honestly, just in the world we live in. Everything is online or the majority, but for me, having the opportunity to work, like I don't take on a ton of clients, but working with just 2 people locally, like those are my favorite days because I get the opportunity every week to see the progress that person's having.
Yeah.
Or like a lot of the time I'll sit there and we're just talking about their life as well. It's a lot easier to become more vulnerable or really get into it when you're in person. And we're missing that. We're losing that as a society. Everyone wants to be online or glued to their phones. And for me,
Yeah.
I've always been an in-person guy.
Yeah. This podcast started out with all of our interviews in person, and now they're pretty much all virtually. Not all, but most.
Yeah.
I think for the same reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
You said you're still focusing on the property side. What are you building out there?
Yeah, when I say focusing, so really it's at a standstill. I mean, I've had multiple people. I think this is just the universe maybe telling me where to go, but I've had a few investors reach out to me saying like, hey, I have this idea. You seem like a guy who I think could make it happen. And then they pitch me the exact idea for what I started. That's happened twice in the last 2 weeks. So I think that might be a sign. But the biggest piece is I've met with the city twice about making this happen in Kelowna. It's just going to be really difficult to do it in BC with regulations and having a lot of the things that I want to build out in one property. It's been tough. I mean, I've been looking for the right property here just on the outskirts of the city because I want it to be a farm, quote unquote. To me, a big piece is that you're removing yourself. You're not going downtown to the innovation center to work. You're going to spend the day at the farm, but it's also close enough for you and your family where you can shoot back into town. It's close. You're not going to be going there every day, but it's an escape. It's an escape for you to go and focus and reset your health. And then we'd have health practitioners on site. So that's where it's at, is an idea still.
I love it, man. Yeah, sounds awesome. Where are you off to next? You got a bit of a trip on the books?
Yeah, the next few months are going to be crazy. Like this year, I think about 2026, I've been all over, only in Kelowna for 2 weeks, but I'm going to Egypt for a month and then New York City for a month and then back to Kelowna for a bit of the summer. I definitely want to spend more time here. We're pretty fortunate with where we live. So
yeah, I love the fact that like you've been gone, you've experienced like a bunch of places, much like myself, and then Kelowna just draws you back. It tends to draw back like the entrepreneurial spirited people as well. So it sounds like you got big things ahead of you. If people want to reach out to you, best way, Instagram, website, how can we connect listeners with you?
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram, C_Stevenson13. So just Chase Stevenson, they'll find me. And then CHASEIT Group. I've got my contact information on there for people to reach out. And for me, it's really, if I could have more people locally, especially have the opportunity to work with them. I'm also just a community builder. When I first moved back from New York, I was struggling to get connected with a lot of like-minded people, let's say people who are driven, a lot of young people, and I knew they were here in Kelowna. So I started throwing these big sauna ice bath groups. I had like 150 people at one of these. Like it ended up being a party, which I was not really looking to have it be. We had 2 huge saunas going. We had tunes going in there. We had the big hot tub, ice baths, organic food. Yeah, I'm also just big on community. So anyone who wants to connect with me, I'm always happy to connect with people who are looking to grow or just looking for someone to help push them in their lives. I'm always going to the track or doing like open workouts, which is really just me working out and people come join and be like, wow, this guy's out of his mind. So
I love that, man. I saw that. It was a while ago, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, like the sauna party. I'm like, that is wicked. I don't know if it's just as we're getting older or if it's just kind of now the new thing not to be unhealthy like we used to do, just binge drinking on the weekend. I was like, that is wicked. Like you can get those endorphins, that kind of natural high from stressing in the sauna and jumping in a cold plunge and just hanging out with healthy people at a good energy. So I appreciate what you're doing in the Okanagan, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Chase, I need to know, are you still involved in the hockey scene at all? Are you doing anything with the Bruins or locally or anything?
I haven't. So I left this out of the story, but when I first left investment banking in New York, I felt like I hadn't given New York a true try. Investment banking is you're working. And so I hadn't had the opportunity to like enjoy New York. So I ended up coaching hockey in New York privately. And I ended up making more money coaching hockey than I did in investment banking.
Coaching the investment bankers' kids.
Exactly. So, I was coaching. I made more connections doing that. I'm coaching, the kid of the CFO of Goldman Sachs. I'm seeing him every Wednesday night. Like, how's it going, Chase? And that was who I was coaching. New York City, an hour to rent the ice at the one rink in New York is $2,600 an hour. So you think who's renting that ice, right? I'm not involved in the hockey scene locally. I'd like to. I love coaching still. I also feel like I just have so much knowledge to share.
Yeah.
So I'm sure at some point I definitely will. Like for me, it's also one of those things I'm a bit sour about hockey. Like it's tough. That's why I said I was like, I don't play anymore. That's the real reason, is because it is still something where it's so fresh and I'm like, who knows what it could have been.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, that's also just me. Like I need to get over that. I have so much knowledge to share. And if I can help some young kid work towards his goals, like there's no better feeling. So I will have to get back involved.
That's awesome, Chase. Yeah, it's too bad, but it sounds like you're making the most of it, kind of learning.
Yeah.
Learning as you go.
Every day, man, I'm always doing something and working towards something. So
yeah, it shows. Good for you.
If you want a good laugh, our last season game is this Friday, and then it's playoffs. We weren't Div 1, we're Div 8, but yeah.
Div 8.
Div 1 here is too good. Div 1 is like, is there fights and stuff? Like
in the beer hockey sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I'm out on that. I don't need that.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for your time today. And yeah, look forward to connecting with you in the community. And yeah, hopefully we see some property development in the future for you.
And at the next sauna party, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank you, Chase.